Artificial intelligence. You probably know that moment when you think, yeah, I have a result by AI, and not sure if this is correct. And why do you have that hesitation? Most likely because, just like me, you had the moment where you got a result from AI and you found out it was fake, it was wrong, it didn't exist in reality. Utter shock, of course. How can the magic AI suddenly be wrong? And that's what we're going to talk about today, how to trust artificial intelligence. When it comes to artificial intelligence, one aspect is crucially important. AI is basically anywhere right now. However, you expect your people to trust artificial intelligence, and the question is how to do that. And when you now start with the point that I've seen way too often where people say, oh yeah, we just have too many backward facing employees, they are not risk open enough. You have to go forward, you have to use this. We have a culture of tolerance when something goes wrong. And usually within 15 minutes, someone steps up and said, I remember that example where someone did something wrong, and the only thing that happened was they faced massive consequences, negative consequences. And that's exactly the problem here. When you see that suddenly someone took the step forward and they face negative consequences, usually people immediately stop using a technology because they say, oh, it's all about risk averse again. So not my name here in the first row. How to gain trust in artificial intelligence in your organization. First, of course, about a disclaimer, I'm going to show you a source in a minute. It's all under the Fair Use Act, so I can quote this here, and of course, Zitierrecht quotation right in German law. You see, Business Insider already said getting workers to trust and adopt AI is forcing HR people to reinvent themselves. Exactly. It's just not enough to say use that. And you might have seen the picture on the internet where an AI in different forms, usually depicted as some sort of computer or robot, says to a human being, because the human being asks, oh, is this food poisoned? And the computer says, no, it's not. And suddenly you see that the human being is dead and the computer says, oh, it was poisoned anyway. Sorry for that. Do you want to learn more about toxic and poisoned food? And we probably all, including myself, had this moment. AI said something wrong. You call out the AI saying, this is wrong. And then AI says, oh, yeah, correct. Yeah, it's wrong. You were right. Do you want to learn something correct now? And you wonder, what? Why can't you just give me the right thing in the first place? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. When it comes to trust in artificial intelligence, you have to see one situation first. AI is absolutely everywhere, and that makes people insecure. Insecure not because they don't trust the technology, they don't trust the circumstances. They say, if I use it for my private travel planning and it goes wrong, I face the consequences by myself, I can live with it. I have to book another train, another flight, fair enough. But when I'm in my organization, especially in countries where probably the working laws allows that people get fired on the spot, they say, if I do this wrong, well, I might get fired. When I do this slow without the I might get, let's say, a warning letter, but I definitely won't get fired. So they obviously go for the lower risk option, at least in many cases. So you see, AI is everywhere. The problem here is that this omnipresent of knowledge makes people insecure about what to do right now, because especially in times of fake news, fake videos, deep fake, where many people say, I really can't distinguish the fake news, the fake videos from the real ones. Some can, some not so much. And then they say, look, I'm just not trusting anything new. I know when I go to Microsoft Excel, doing it word by myself, adding all these cells, I know this works. There's no AI there, and I just deactivate Copilot in Microsoft. So I just work by myself. Everything's fine here. The fake news and more is one of the massive issues. So when you are amongst the fake news and more people, where you say, I'm not really sure this episode is for you. And when you are a leader in one of these departments where you say, I have people who really don't trust the technology, this episode is also for you. You have to offer help. And the first help is always awareness training. The problem with awareness training is the vast majority of awareness trainings I see on the market are anything but qualified. Someone with a huge confidence who probably has written half of a Wikipedia article about AI suddenly is an AI expert stepping up with massive confidence, telling things which are violently wrong. So you need professional content. You need to be sure that the person talking about AI is professionally qualified. And I don't want to put myself in the spotlight here. However, just because, of course, now people can say, Brabant, what are you talking about? What are your credentials? Can you tell me something? Of course. I got my AI qualification. First, I worked for Microsoft New Horizons Computer Learning Centers, and I was into first scripts, automated learning, machine learning way before the topic of AI even occurred. And I got my professional AI knowledge from the University of Pennsylvania Wharton Business School, followed by Vanderbilt, and then vendor certifications by Microsoft directly, almost 10 different qualifications only in the last year. So I think it's not, I'm not talking from a bad point here. the general principle is science leads the way. When people do not have credentials backed by science, there is no point in listening to them. Absolutely no point in listening to them because these people will not help you in any way. Science leads the way. Very important here is when you now say, yeah, but we are such a large organization, it's just too complicated to train all of them. Or you're on the other end of the scale, you say, oh, we're such a small organization, we don't have the resources. Look, during the last 12 months, I probably gave about 50 different awareness training when it comes to regarding AI, when it comes to AI regarding AI on a global scale, anywhere in between from Australia to Canada, South America to Japan, all over Europe, on site and online. And it really is about planning. Large organization, I just gave one awareness training for 50 managers. First, we had a group of 500 for a general training, then 50 for a more specific training, and then we have groups of 5 for very specified training, very specialized training for each department. So it goes from 500 to 50 to 5. So anyone gets a bit of general knowledge, a bit more specified, and then specialized just for them. Very important here, the implementation is always based on professional qualification. When you put people to the front who are not professional trainers, not professional coaches, do not hold the credentials, have no qualification, methodology, didactics, education, there's no chance this is going to work. Plus the scientific education you need in AI. And when you say there aren't many, I agree, there aren't many. But that's not your people's problem. When you say there aren't many, so you get some bad, cheap ones, people will not listen. And even if they listen, they will simply say, yeah, I took the online training, tick the box, I will change, let me check, nothing. I will simply continue as always. And that is a massive issue. Professional qualification is always step number one. And the most important part of any department is leaders must lead. I have seen way too many examples where leaders said, oh, great, all of my people are qualified, so you do this now because I do whatever I do just as I've done before. And one large corporation where I just was the presenter and the keynote speaker last week, they said they hold their leaders accountable. It is in their goal papers. So when they have a goal agreement, it's in their goal agreements, what kind of pieces, which pieces of AI need to be implemented by the end of the year. So they are valued and they also receive bonuses or the opposite of bonuses when they do not achieve these goals. In smaller organizations, usually people stick to what they invested money in because often owners are there or someone who invested in the company saying, I put money on the table, so please do what I invested for. And people say, look, we all own this here and we all make it happen together. So the professional qualification needs to be based off leaders must lead. And on top of that, you must have resources. These can be the internal IT service desk or anyone who likes to help. These can be a website. These can be any kind of learning resources. It needs to be available for the people in the moment of need. When you do it the way we just discussed here, then AI and the trust in artificial intelligence in your organization is going to be a massive success. And I wish you all the best implementing that in your organization. And when you now say, well, that sounds pretty demanding, I can tell you it is, however. So first, of course, thank you very much again for listening. If you're watching me on YouTube right now, feel free to leave a like there, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment here if you like. You can, of course, also leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, 5 stars. Thank you very much for doing so. And recommend this podcast and videocast amongst your friends, colleagues on social media, anywhere you like. Or go to my website, nb-networks.biz. However, when you now like to discuss something, and the vast majority, as this is a business podcast, most people will say, I have something to discuss. It is internal. It is from my organization, my company, my business. I can't put it in the comment section on Facebook. And I fully agree. Send me an email. That's what most people did. nb@nb-networks.com. If you send me an email, I guarantee you to get back to you within 24 hours or less. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you need something very specific, a trainer, speaker, coach, consultant, mentor, project interim manager, let me know. If you just have a couple of questions and we have a discussion there, feel free to do so as well. Looking forward to hearing from you. In addition to what we do here, we have live sessions. We just had a very successful one, almost booked out last Friday. When you go to expert.nb-networks.com, then you sign up with your email address there. You receive only one email every Wednesday morning. It's 100% content, ad-free guarantee. And in there, you find full access to all the podcasts, articles, videocasts, everything in the English and German language, of course, all at no charge for our listeners and readers. And you also find the next date and time for our next live session. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Of course, you can also just connect with me on LinkedIn and text me there, or just follow me on Instagram and text me there. You can also like me on Facebook or follow my YouTube channel. Looking forward to hearing from you. Any message is going to be answered within 24 hours or less, meaning if you don't get an answer within 24 hours, your message probably didn't get through, but usually messages get through. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. However, the most important bit is always the last thing that I say. Apply what you hear in this podcast, because only when you apply what you heard, you will see the positive aspects that you obviously want to see in your organization. I wish you all the best implementing all of this there right now. And of course, as usual, at the end of this podcast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Thank you very much for your time.